Yeah, so thank you for that presentation. Lots and lots of information there, and I have a number of questions that I will ask you. But just before I go into the question, when you were talking, I was remembering my own experience, whereby one of my children, my first daughter, I mean, I was a first-time mom, and I had no experience on talking to the child. And I was just thinking, like, when my first daughter was a few days old, my mom will come and talk to the child and be playing. And I would just be looking at my mom like, what is it with her? She's just being so babyish, just, and I could not understand. When she gives me the baby, I'll just carry the baby and just be staring, looking at her, admiring her. But I did not know that I could talk to the baby, because I used to question, if I talk to the baby, will she understand me? Will she even hear me? And things like that. So I think you, because it's your specialty, can really enlighten us, especially new moms, because as new parents, unless you grew up taking care of a child, that you develop those skills. But me, I didn't. And again, we were living in the university area, so only adults who were there. So our daughter did not have any child around them until she got to 3 years old, and she was not talking yet. But she would do everything, but she would not talk apart from one word that she would say, and it was just mama. And we don't know where she heard that word from until she started going to nursery. Again, I was not in Europe, in the UK at the time, because if I were here, services could have, healthcare and my GP could have been involved. At that time, I was in Cameroon. I attended all the clinics and we sang songs and all whatnot. So I think if you have mentioned some points here on how to interact with your child, which I think is very important. And I really appreciate if you can talk to us a bit more about that. That's under the importance of early intervention, or what parents can do to get their child. Because sometimes just listening to you is not necessarily neglect, because it goes under the environmental aspect. It's not that there's chaos in the house, it's just that the parent, like myself, I did not know that I could talk to my child. But if I had my first child now, it'll be different, because I even play more than the children.
Yes, thank you for that question, Nelly. One lady in church also was concerned about the fact that neglect is considered as a cause of language delay, and like there is neglect and there is lack of awareness. Those are completely two different things. Neglect is when we're talking about abuse, where you do not care about your child's needs. Forget about speech and language. Their medical needs, their environmental needs, the house is chaotic and dirty and all sorts of things, or their emotional needs are not being met. That is a kind of abuse. But when you lack awareness, when you do not know what to do, it's a competency matter. So there is this competency framework that I like to refer to when I'm doing my courses. So it starts with when you're unaware and you're incompetent. So you do not know that there is a problem and you do not do anything about it because you're not even first of all aware. That was me at the beginning when my second child was couldn't speak. I wasn't even aware. So I did not know that she was delayed. Next level is when you are aware, but you do not know what to do. So now you know that there is something wrong, but I do not know where to start. I don't know where to go. And then there is the third level where you're aware and you're beginning to gain the skills and the knowledge to be able to support that child. Then you're aware and you're competent, but although not yet really competent. So the fourth level is when you are unconsciously competent, that you already know exactly what's going on, you know what to do, and it is like it's in your blood. You just do it as you go about your daily activities. You just know that I have to talk to this child, I have to label things that I'm doing, I have to show them examples of the actual objects of the things that I'm talking about. Then you're just doing it in your routine. So in nighttime, you don't necessarily have to sit down and focus, because you know that every opportunity that you interact with your child is a learning opportunity, and you just do the things that you need to be doing. So when we are unaware of what to do, we need to ask for help. And one thing that we think sometimes as parents is that when we buy loads of toys, we've done it. So you can visit a parent and the whole living room is strewn with toys, all kinds of toys, beautiful toys, expensive toys, but then they do not play with that child, they do not interact with that child. That child is, oh, they bought toys, they're playing with their toys. If a child plays with this book from today to tomorrow, and they never hear the word book, they will never use the word book. So the neglect now in that aspect is that we're not engaging with that child, we're not interacting with that child. The child is a social being. We learn from one another through interaction. So if we do not speak to the child, we're not engaging with them, then they'll struggle. So it's important that we get down to our children's levels and talk to them and show them how to play and interact with them. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, it answered the question. I have another question, and it falls between the awareness and the second point, which is being out, no, lack of awareness, the first one, and no being aware, the second point that you talked about. So
I'm going to try and bring up the competency framework while you're talking. Go on.
Okay, so sometimes we say it runs in the family that children speak late, and because of that, we know that the child is delayed, or probably we have different ways to describe them. Probably we can say the child is lazy to speak. And that is how it runs in the family. So because of that, parents don't see it as any issue, because Auntie Mary and Sister, they spoke very, very late, probably when they were 4 years old. So young Johnny is delayed to maybe they'll speak around that age. So I think what can you do, because you are a specialist in that, what can you do to raise awareness for our parents to know? It doesn't mean that everything is got to be, or the children have to be medicated, or some radical interventions put in place, like you've just said. Just simple things like talking to the child, hugging the child. So what do you do so parents are aware to watch out for signs and symptoms?
Right. Thank you for that, Nelly. That is one of the things that we talk about, your beliefs, your belief system. We all have different beliefs about a lot of different things, including speech and language development. So some parents believe that the child is going to learn when they go to school. So obviously children develop at different rates. We all know that. All children will not start talking at the same time, will not start walking or running at the same time. They develop at different rates, and that's a fact. But it is important, because I know that in our African culture, these beliefs are there. In Asian families, these beliefs are there, which parents have told us when we're assessing. So they believe that the child is going to just develop when they're ready. They're just lazy. A child doesn't choose to be lazy, not to talk. No child chooses not to talk. No child chooses not to walk. They're delayed because they're not able to do it. So those beliefs about children, they're going to learn, they're just being lazy. They're just beliefs that are handed down. Maybe you've heard somebody say it, and then you're repeating it too. I've worked with a parent who says when she came to me, she had issues with her dad because her dad was saying, oh, she's wasting money. The child will talk when they're ready. So these are some beliefs that we have in our cultures. Now, let's just accept that, okay, the child will talk when they're ready. When our children are in primary school or in high school and they're struggling with their maths, what do? We'll get them tutors. We'll get them extra lessons. Why is it different for language development? It's something that they need to develop. When your child is not talking, it causes frustration and they lash out and they come out with behaviors that you do not want. And then you say your child is stubborn, your child is this, your child is that, without realizing that it's the frustration of the fact coming from the fact that they're unable to express themselves. So it is important to raise the awareness for our parents, for people with children who are delayed, to know that they need to access support and they need to access support early. Forget about those beliefs. Yes, the child will talk when they're ready. But what is wrong with you supporting, helping that child to develop a bit quicker? So those are some of the things that we need to think about. So irrespective of your beliefs, if your child is delayed, just like you get them support for maths and English, get them support for their communication, because the communication will help them develop that maths later. They'll not be running behind and playing catch up throughout their school life.
Okay, thank you so much for that. One thing, like for us African families, you have talked about giving cuddles and hugs. And for us, that's not for the African families. And I don't know much about the Asian families, but I'll talk about the African families. It is not a cultural thing for us to give hugs to our children or even to see people giving hugs, because if you see people giving hugs, it's always misinterpreted for having a sexual relationship. So in that case, how would you encourage parents to know that that skin to skin between parent and child it goes more than just the physical touch, because it's got an element of connectivity and that bonding? So what advice will you give to parents, African parents, about the importance of giving your children hugs and cuddles?
Right. Thank you for that one. That's a difficult one, but yay, bring it on. So touch has a healing component to it. I'm a touchy-feely person. When I talk to people, I touch them. But some people don't like being touched, and which we have to respect. But when our children are growing up, they need that touch. They need that security. It gives them security. It contains them, especially when they're growing up as babies. Babies, if they're crying and you just let them cry, like in those days, they used to say, just allow them cry. If they're fed and they're dry, if they're not hungry, then just leave them cry. No. You can never spoil a baby by loving them. The more you love your baby, the more the baby knows that you respond to their needs, the more secure they are. And if you have a securely attached baby, they grow into secure toddlers and they can leave your side and go and explore. We've all seen babies who are not securely attached, who are clingy. They're like, Mom, I'm here. No matter where you go, they're following you all around the house, into the toilet and everywhere. That is because they feel like there has been a detachment somewhere and their needs have not been met somehow. And so they want to get you at all times. And when we touch our babies, when we hold them, we communicate through touch, because sometimes a baby may be feeling agitated and you just touch them and they calm down. That includes adults as well. Like people say you need about how many meaningful touches a day, to make you feel good. So touch is a form of communication as much as verbal using words. So it's important for us to love our babies and give them hugs and reassure them and not make them feel like a failure, because sometimes without even realizing, it will make our babies feel like they're not enough. And when it comes to speech and language development, if a child is saying a word and they say it wrong, it is important not to always make them feel like they've said it wrong, because you're going to shut them down. It is important to just model the right words to use or what they should have said. So if the child says nana instead of banana, you say, oh yes, you mean banana. Oh yes, I love bananas. So model the language, telling them that, oh yes, they've spoken, or they've said what they've said, but you model the way it should have been said and praising them for trying. So it's important that we give them those cuddles. It's important that we encourage them and we praise them so that they can be secure in the fact that my mom is my champion, my dad is my champion, my aunties, my sisters, and my brothers are rooting for me to do the best that they can. And that includes holding their hands, touching them, giving them hugs. Bring your babies close, very close.
Okay, Aqua, thank you so much for that. I think there are so many other things coming out from what you have just said. Again, on that touch, I believe, knowing what I know now, that for the touch, it has to be intentional, gentle, reassuring touch, and not just like a smack. That is still a touch.
Smack? Where did that come from?
Smack is still a touch.
It is touch, but it's negative.
Yeah.
We want positive touch.
Just because you didn't differentiate, that is why I'm bringing that smacking is still touching, but has a different meaning behind it. So I think that is really important. And something that you talked about, I know it's not, I mean, we'll talk about that in subsequent shows, but it's very, very important talking to our children, because it's not just opening your mouth and words to come out, because like we said, words can be damaging, words can be disempowering, as well as words can be empowering. So that one, we talked about it in a few sessions back, but that will be something that we'll look into more details. And I don't know much about this, but I'll say it probably, I know you will know more than me. About talking. We know that children's brains start forming when they're in the womb, though mostly we consider that children are human beings once they are born, once they come out from the womb. And just talk us through how we start communicating with our children while they are still in their mother's womb, and how important that is.
Oh, thank you for that, Nelly. Now, babies are live when they're conceived. For me, I believe that they're babies at conception, because it's a miracle that one sperm finds that egg and fuse to start life. Life in itself is a miracle. I totally believe that, because when you imagine that those tiny cells become this human being and then become an adult like us, it started somewhere. And so it starts in the womb. So we start communicating with our babies in the womb. Babies can hear at gestation, or a fetus can hear at a gestation of 24 weeks, that is 6 months. So they can hear the sound in the environment. They can respond to the stimuli that are outside the body. So we need to create the right environment for our babies to develop and thrive. That includes when they're still in the womb. So you can talk to your baby bump, you can play music. We've seen cases where parents have come to sessions and the music comes on and the baby starts leaping. They become alert, and you're like, and you hear the mom say, I used to play that when she was in the womb. So it is important that we create the right environment for that baby to develop. That is why we need to reduce stress during pregnancy. We need to avoid stressful environments. We need to allow the baby's dad to touch the bum if they can't talk to the bum, if they're able to, if the environment is right. We need to avoid quarrels and fights, loud voices. We know that even when babies, women work night shifts, they have their babies and the babies don't sleep at night. And you're like, this baby is not sleeping. This baby is not sleeping. And you go and visit the mom and like, this baby is not sleeping. They sleep throughout the day. They don't sleep at night. And you're like, okay, you find now you have to have a discussion about the history. And then you realize that these babies were sleeping during the day with the mom, while the moms were did night, because the moms did night shifts. And so they come out with the same pattern when they're born. So it is important that we realize these little things. And so that includes communicating. So talk to your baby's bum, sing to your babies, to the bum, touch the bum, because that's part of the touch that you talked about. Allowed to rub that bum, touch it. And when they're even older, they can respond to light. If you shine a touch on the bum, they respond to it. You can see them push and kick where the stimulus is. But when you even touch, they push your hand. So it is important they can respond from in the womb. And I wrote a book about that, actually. I've got an ebook about helping my baby talk pre-birth. So you can find that on Amazon.
Interesting. I hope we'll come to that some other time. So thank you for that explanation. Okay, I will there's a comment here from Eileen Atia, and she says, eye contact plays a great part in reassuring a child about positive touch. For example, reassuring the child and being gentle and kind with them, especially with a non-verbal child. A smile goes a long way. Yeah, thank you so much, Eileen.
Definitely.
We really need that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can say a bit on the eye contact, just to back up Eileen's point, it's a very good point. Thank you, Eileen.
Yes, eye contact is very, very important because it is a form of non-verbal communication. Now, eye contact is a topic that is very could be contentious depending on the culture where it comes from. Now, we come from an African culture where if you look at your parents in the eye, they're like, "You're looking at me in the eye, you're disrespectful." But whereas in this culture, if you're talking to somebody and you do not look at them in their face or you do not have eye contact, it's like, you're not listening to us. You're not listening to me. You're being disrespectful. So you can win. Either way, you cannot win. So you have to be conscious of the cultural context in which you find yourself. So it is true. Eye contact is a way of reassuring that child that I'm listening to you. Even if they're not able to use their words, come down to their level. Let them see your face. Your facial expression is very key to how you communicate with babies and children, because you can use words playfully, but if the child is not looking at you, they may not know from your voice, from what you have said. So your tone of voice can be different. I can say Nelly, or I can say Nelly, but if you're not looking at my face, my tone of voice, I may be saying it Nelly, playfully, but because you're not seeing my face, you will not know whether I'm smiling or I'm being stern, or so it's important to look at people in their faces when they talk, because nonverbal communication is very important, because it's more than 90% of our communication is nonverbal, not the words that we use actually.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. It's getting interesting, but we're running out of time.
I know.
I'll just say one more thing on that. Just talking about the eye contact is very, very important. And again, not just for children, because when you look into someone's eyes, it is said, looking at someone's eyes is the quickest way to get to their heart or to get to their soul. So that is truly who a person is when you look into their eyes. So because children are still young and they still have that love, the original love, is not being adulterated by our environment. So they are still pure in that sense. So yeah, I like eye contact. I don't stare, I look into the eyes. And it's really
don't stare at me. It's rude.
Okay, so I think we are out of time now, and I just want to say thank you so much, Aqua, for this. And there are some bits and pieces that we will elaborate on differently. And thank you to all the viewers. I don't know if you have something else to say before I round up, Aqua.
Oh yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ikie. Marco, if your country name, Ike, for listening and for joining in conversation. We've got stuff coming up, haven't we? Got our half holiday club coming up in December in Rochdale. Can you give us more details, Nelly?
Okay, so we have our half is holiday activity. So this will be Christmas holiday activity for children in Rochdale, most especially in Rochdale. We'll have it on the 19th, the 22nd, the 27th, and the 28th of December. In January, we are running a workshop on emotional awareness. That will be followed in the month of February by importance of early intervention. Currently, we are working on a pilot project whereby we intend to work with a few families in this pilot project, whereby we work with individual member of the family and then the family as a unit to identify their needs. We focus particularly on emotional well-being and mental health, as well as early intervention. So early intervention will not just be for language delays, it will be for any needs that we identify when we are doing the assessment. So we will come up, if we approach you that we are looking for
volunteers,
engage this pilot project. I think it will be something that if you engage, you will not regret it, because there'll be something that will benefit you and your family. Last week, we have been talking about our event launch, and it was a success. So just want to say thank you. You can only see those pictures on our Facebook page. So if you go there, you'll see us there. And thank you so much. So now we just look forward to working with you. We don't know everything, and we like to work in partnership, because you, myself, Aqua, each and every one of us are experts in our lived experiences. So I cannot be telling Aqua about her life, because I know nothing about it apart from what she tells me or what she tells us. But she knows exactly everything that happened to her, from even when she was from, say, 2 years old till now. So that's why we prefer to work in partnership rather than dictating to people what they should do, because no one should do something. People make choices to do what they want to do depending on what they aspire, what they want to achieve in life. Thank you so much. You can find out more about us on our website. Aqua, can you just say our website, please?
Our website is handhandcommunitycic.com. Again, handhandcommunitycic.com. Our next topic will be dun, 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 behavior and behavior management. So come and join us. Let's talk about how we can support our children to bring out the right behaviors from them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and have a lovely evening. See you next week. Bye-bye.